Welcome to the Real Estate Rebel. I'm your host, Scott McGillivray, and today we are going to be talking about some of the greatest lies ever told to us in real estate. That's right, lies that some of us have believed, lies that have robbed us of opportunities. All right, so these are the lies that you should know about. These are the myths in real estate that we need to debunk. I have someone helping me out today with some of these to get to the truth. His name is Frank Leo. He is a hugely successful real estate agent and a member of my Trusted Agent program. He's also just happens to be the #1 individual selling RE/MAX agent in the world. That doesn't happen by accident. I can't wait to have him on the show because this is basically like the top dog of all realtors. I've had many conversations with him before. He is a wealth of knowledge. If he's going to know how to get to the truth, if anyone knows how to get to the truth, it's going to be him. So excited to have him on the show in just a moment. And I got to tell you, there's some of these myths. You know, when I got started in real estate investing, I was really looking for a lot of advice, and although some of it was good, some of it was clearly bad. And there are things that I listened to that I now know today were foolish. You know, I remember people saying that you had to time the market was the biggest thing. That's like the first thing I'm going to ask Frank about is, you know, when's the best time to invest in real estate? I remember somebody told me when I was getting started, you can only buy in the winter because the market's too hot in the spring and summer. So the only time to look for properties was like December. And so I waited months and months and months. I waited the whole summer and part of the fall. And then I started looking for properties in the winter, and there was hardly anything listed. And I started putting in offers, and I realized I was putting in offers that were higher, and the properties that were listed for more than they were the summer before. So had I just started searching for properties, I would have been able to buy them for less, and I would have had more of a selection. So I may have missed my first best opportunity to invest in real estate. But eventually, obviously, did secure my first property and many more thereafter. And so I want to make sure that as a first-time home buyer, as a first-time real estate investor, or even as a sophisticated buyer or investor, that you don't fall victim to some of the rumors that are out there. I'm going to help guide you through these, make sure that you don't make the same mistakes that I have. We're going to have Frank Leo on in just a moment to help us get through some of these myths as well. And then we're going to talk about the truths, the things you really need to know. So at the end of the program, we're going to give you the tips that are actually true, the things that you should be following. We'll give you that right at the end. And then obviously for more information, you can go to scottmcgillivray.com. There's always lots of stuff there for you to check out when it comes to real estate. All right, but let's get to it. Please welcome my guest, Frank Leo. Frank, you're the #1 individual selling RE/MAX agent in the world. I love that title. That means like you're the guy. You're the #1 RE/MAX agent. How does that happen? How do you gain that status?
It's a tremendous honor. It's every year they award it. That was a couple of years ago, but now I'm running a team. So we're running a very successful team. It's just about doing what you love doing and doing more of it and helping more people out. So it's an honor to receive, and it's nice. It sounds great, but it's one family at a time that we take care of.
Yeah, well, listen, we know that these things don't happen by accident. Being #1, I know you're being very modest about it, but you're a rock star when it comes to real estate. And with your background and your knowledge, you've been in the industry for 30 years. You've probably dealt with all kinds of buyers and sellers with all kinds of expectations. You know, if anybody's seen it all, it's a guy like you. So today, I really want your help to kind of go through and debunk some of these myths around how to buy real estate and what's going on. And I've fallen victim to some of these myths myself because I think everybody's always looking for a competitive edge in real estate. But I thought it'd be great for you and I to maybe go through these together. And since you're the #1
Sure.
guy in the #1 business here of real estate and real estate purchasing, you can help me with this. So let's get right to it. Here's the first myth, and it's a bit of a two-parter. People say it's too expensive to get into the real estate market? And also the spin on that, the other one that we hear is, how do we time the market? Everybody's saying it's too expensive now. When's the best time? How do I time the market? I have my own theories on this, but I want to hear from you, Frank. What's your thoughts?
Well, we have to divide that up into investing and then your personal residence. So from getting into the market, I assume it's your first property. I think that, today is not as good as yesterday, but it's better than tomorrow is the answer to that question. Is whenever you can afford it is the best time, because, mortgages are typically 25 years. The sooner you start paying yourself, the sooner you own the property. And that's what you want to do. So if you start at 25, at 50, you'll be done. If you start at 45, then you're going to be done at 70. So it makes a big difference. And people think they're not paying a mortgage when they're renting. Yes, they are. They're just not paying their own mortgage. They're paying their landlord's mortgage. So buying a property is, I think, the best long-term investment. And the sooner you can get into the market, the better it is, because every time I look and I ask someone, would you be better to buy property 5, 10 years ago or now? You know what they say? 5 or 10 years ago. So timing the market is very difficult. Get in when you can, because real estate is something that's tangible.
I am 100% aligned. I love what you just said there, which is, today is worse than yesterday, but tomorrow is worse than today, because that is so true. It's always the hardest time to get into the real estate market. I remember when I bought my first house, everyone's like, wow, this is the hardest time ever. And that was 20 years ago. And if you ask your parents, they tell you it was hard when they bought. And you look at people now and it's hard to buy. And I think the line that I use when people ask me about timing the market, I say the biggest myth in real estate is that it is about timing the market, when the truth is real estate is about time in the market and not about timing the market. So the sooner you buy and the longer that you're in, the better off you're going to do. I'm aligned with the number one RE/MAX agent in the world. This is good.
The people who don't ask those questions are the ones who just keep buying and they never stop buying, and they do really well because they don't ask those questions. They just say, well, that's it. So I think that that's very important. Don't time the market, just the time in the market. Exactly.
Time in the market. Absolutely. And if the numbers work, if you've got an opportunity, why are you hesitating? I always tell people, why would you hesitate at an opportunity thinking that things are going to get better? Things typically don't get better. They get harder. So very good. Okay, let me ask you this one, because I hear this all the time. This is real estate myth number 2. You should always buy the worst house on the best street.
Well, I don't think that's a myth. I think it can be a myth. If you overpay for the worst house on the best street, it's a terrible thing to do. But if you can get a good price on the home that's on the best, absolutely, that's where you want to be. So it all depends on you personally, if you want to do some renovations or you don't want to do renovations or fix it up. But that is a safer bet if you can get a good deal on it. Yes. So I don't think it's so much a myth. It's a half myth.
It's a half myth. This is the idea of buying a fixer-upper. This is the idea of the diamond in the rough, as people say. You want to be able to create value with the least amount of resistance possible. So I'm half on board with this one as well. I like the idea of getting, something that's undervalued in a good area so that the market and the area is working with you. But realistically,
the spread is the key.
The spread is the key. Absolutely. Yeah. And I would say that a good goal in life is to eventually have the best house on the best street. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're not cutting any corners. We're going straight to the best house on the best street. Absolutely.
That's my long-term goal.
Yes. No, absolutely. We're only starting with the worst house on the best street. We're gradually going to upgrade to the best house on the best street.
Yeah, it's a progression. This is just a starting point. So I like that. Real estate myth number 3. You should always wait till spring to list your house for sale. Like, that's the only time to sell.
Absolutely
not. Is that true? Okay, no. Tell me about that.
Every year, there's a different factors that affect the market. I don't think there's really downtimes in the market right now. We typically, when I first started 30 years ago, there was a noticeable slowdown in the summers and around the holidays, around Christmas. You would see some slowdown. But nowadays, that's no longer the case. Every year, it's a different month that seems to be busier for different reasons. So, being aware of what's going on around you is always a good thing to do. The other thing that I recommend as well is don't be sheep and just follow everyone. So, if everyone's buying in the spring, then it makes sense to sell in the spring, not buy. And if everyone's selling in November, it should make sense to buy in November. So, you should really do the opposite of what the masses are doing.
I agree with that one. And I think that what I've noticed is that, supply and demand tend to typically follow each other. There's a greater supply of properties in the spring, even though there's more buyers. So it kind of evens itself out, does it not?
Typically, but the spring market now, we consider it about middle of February, or early February, because by the time people start looking at homes, they have a 3 month closing. We're looking at end of June. So that's the spring market. Spring market is when people want to move into a home, not when they want to buy.
Got it. That's actually a pretty good point. Yeah, that's more of the spring market is more of when people want to be moving early summer, late spring. And you know what? I think that it behooves us to kind of discuss the current climate slightly here, which is the whole idea of when do you list a house? We're in the middle of an unprecedented time right now. We've got a pandemic going on. When it started, I think people were very hesitant to list their house, and the predictions were pretty grim. They're like, nothing's going to sell, prices are going to drop. It's not the right time to list your property. What do you have to say about that now that we're seeing the truth?
Well, I think that when this all started, there was a lot of uncertainty, and people were self-isolating, and there was a moment of just fear and not knowing what's coming next. Um, I did mention to you I had a COVID beard. I call that. I grew a beard and I shaved it off on Sunday as a positive note that we've now tried to eliminate some of the unknowns and the fears, and now we're back to a more normal. And it's never going to be totally normal, but people have accepted the fact that they got to be cautious, that there's a virus around. They got to wear gloves and a mask when they go out. So they're out there doing what they have to do. And part of that in real estate is a home. And a home now has become arguably more important than it was pre-COVID, because when you're self-isolating, you know that you need certain features in your home. An office, maybe, a finished basement, maybe a pool in the backyard becomes a lot more valuable so that you can enjoy. The open concept home is maybe less desirable now when you need to have some privacy. So it's taught us some lessons. It's allowing us to grow from this. But it also doesn't change a lot. I mean, if you're having a baby and you need an extra bedroom, you need an extra bedroom. If you're, transferring from work, you need to move. You need to move. So this is now what we're getting into is the delayed spring market. It's happening in the summer. All those people have to make a move, and right now, it's actually very important. Whoever wants to make the move to really do it if they have a family home, because most families want to be settled in before school starts in September. And there's a fallacy out there that the market's not moving. I just on the weekend had a property that's 5.5 million with multiple offers on it. So, we're selling properties and we're keeping busy.
So everybody said, don't list your house because there's a pandemic and nobody's buying. But what are we actually seeing in the market?
There's pent up demand and not enough property. So many people aren't selling, but the buyers are ready to go out and buy. So you take advantage of that opportunity now. And if I was in decision mode, I would be making a move right now. I'd be looking at buying.
I love it. And I have been looking at buying. I've been doing all kinds of acquisitions during this time. It's actually the only thing that's slowed down is my ability to do production, which has just given me more time to focus on buying properties. So lots of things going on there. Let's look at real estate myth number 4, Frank. Here it is. You can make more money by not using an agent.
There you go. It's a myth, right? Absolutely. You can do more money by not using anyone, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's common that people seem to think that, oh, I've got sales skills and, I can sell a home and I can do this for the lowest fees possible, or I should just hire somebody really inexpensive. This is probably not the type of thing that a lot of people say to you. You're the number one, Remax agent in the world. And here I am telling you that people say, it's not worth it using an agent. I can make more money if I sell it myself. What do you think about that?
Well, I know that for the most part that's a very bad decision in anything you do. And real estate's only one more thing. If there's a lot involved in buying a home and where to buy and what type of home and a lot of factors to consider. And also in the negotiation process, the clauses you put in there. You know, the thing that I would love most is someone coming in and buying one of my properties with no representation, or me going in and negotiating on someone who has no representation. They have a tremendous disadvantage. We can go in there and we can, find a great property at a better price because, this is what we do every day. So I learned a lesson a long time ago from my father-in-law, and this is very interesting. If you want to save money, buy the best tools possible, right? When you're in construction, and he was doing that, he was a contractor. And you say, well, why is that? Well, if you buy a cheap tool, you start using, you say, this is garbage, and you throw it away, and then you end up buying a better one. So now that professional tool will end up costing you the cost of the professional tool and the cheap one. In a home, if you make a mistake, the few thousand that you think you save, you've lost a lot more money than that. And I've seen it time and time again. I'll give you an example that makes a lot of sense. When the market was crazy and that sentiment was strong, where people thought they could do it themselves or get someone inexperienced to sell their property, they put it on the market and the property sold very quickly, and they were happy because they got their price. And then 2 doors down, I listed the same property a week and a half later and sold it for $200,000 more. They saved on the fee, but they lost $200,000. So this happens a lot of times. And I'll give you another one. This actually happened to someone that we know. They had a nice home. Their neighbor said, if you're ever thinking of selling, let me know. I'd love to buy your home. They ended up selling the home for $1.8 million. No fees, nobody else there. And that was wonderful. They were sharing tomatoes in the garden and everything else. It was a wonderful relationship. 3 months later, he painted the hallway, put it on the market, and sold it for $2.9 million. How much did she save now? When you're in the industry, we have a pulse on what's happening, so we can tell you the trends and give you that information that you're not aware of. So maybe 1.8 was good a year and a half ago, but right now it wasn't, and she just lost, not $1 million essentially. That's terrible, and my heart breaks when that happens. So if you don't mind losing money, use yourself as a in anything, whether it's doing your own plumbing or whatever it is. You may be able to do it, but it's going to cost you a lot more.
Absolutely. And all things considered, it's really hard to be a professional at everything, and you gotta depend on somebody who has the inside line as well. I typically find that I might have a good idea of what I want to sell something for or what I want to buy something for until I talk to the agent who tells me 5 things I didn't know, which is not even just about the commission. It's about the whole decision itself. I've backed away from deals and saved myself potentially $1 million on a deal that wasn't that had details that I wasn't aware of. Do you find that happens often?
All the time. I mean, that's what we do. We live, eat, and breathe it. If you're not using a professional, whatever you do, you're taking a big risk. And it's not like a glass of water or a cup of coffee. It's a couple of dollars. This is your life could be greatly enhanced or hurt by a wrong decision or a right decision. So I wouldn't take a chance on anything like that. And what I tell people all the time is, look, do what you do it best, but hire people that are professionals in whatever industry you need, and you'll find yourself you're way ahead of the game because of that expertise that they have. So, I mean, I wouldn't perform heart surgery on myself either. So just so you know, I'm across the board.
What about the idea? I hear this once in a while. People are like, well, just buy with the listing agent. What about that idea?
I would say that would be a mistake. You should really work with someone who's representing your interests. Well, if you go with the listing agent is actually working for the seller. So although they can help you, are they working for you? And so the problem is that if you have an agent that's working specifically for you, they will tell you if there's other properties in the area that are better priced, better amenities, better features. The listing agent may not tell you that because they're not interested in selling you a property. They only want to sell you that particular property, and that could end up costing you a lot of money in terms of opportunity. So the listing agent is not working for you, and that's very important that people have to realize that they may have known this person for 30 years. They just met you. who are they going to, work for?
Literally, that is like the listing agent's job is to represent the vendor, right?
And get the most money for them. Yes.
I like what you said before about there's a saying, and it goes something along the lines of this: only rich people can afford to be cheap, because it's going to cost you more in the end when you have to do it again properly, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So don't be
It's,
cheap.
no, you know what? Be smart. Be smart. Be wise. It's very important that people see that this is a big, big decision, and the margin of error, is huge. The potential for a mistake. I mean, you've gone into homes, Scott, and you found some surprises when you're fixing them up and renovating them. If you get caught with one of those surprises that you don't know the area, the location, if there's something wrong with the property itself, and you go on by it and you just do it based on saving money on the fees, big mistake. You want to get the right property at the right price. And often that doesn't happen when you're not represented by the right people.
All right, let's move on. We got real estate myth number 5. It's better to list your house on the high side.
No, that's also a mistake. When you list it
Why is that?
closer to what is the real price, you attract more people to the property, and that would mean that you have a better opportunity to get more money because you have a larger audience. If it's higher priced, then people are going to come in at a much lower price to try to meet you in the middle, and you're only encouraging bargain hunters in terms of that. Plus, if you price it at a higher price and the market is good now and it doesn't sell for a week, a month, and what's wrong with the home? So now you've lost that opportunity to make an impact as a new home on the market.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Listen, as a real estate investor, I'm constantly scouring all the listings. And when I see something and I'm like, that is an unusually high price, they're a bit greedy, I immediately sort of disregard the property. I'm like, it's not even time to talk to these people yet. I'll be coming back for an offer in 90 days from now, and it's not going to be close to their listing price. It's actually not going to be at the real value anymore, because now you're going to be desperate. You're going to be nervous. Maybe you've bought another place. It's going to be below value.
That's right. That's right. And so people don't ask why you're reducing your price. They ask what's wrong with the home.
Something on the side note with that is, is there a myth that all you need is MLS to sell a property? Is that something that you hear a lot, or why is that just not enough?
Well, we know it's not enough because Toronto Real Estate Board, we're up to about 57,000 realtors that are licensed. And if you take the average home sold per agent based on those numbers that sold last year, is 1.5 per agent. So no, it's not enough to put on MLS because you have to be able to attract the right buyers. Most buyers need their hand held in terms of what they want. They end up starting their search wanting a big home for a small price, and in a neighborhood maybe they can't afford. So your job is to take them through the paces and show them what's possible and direct them and guide them. So the odds are they're not looking at where they end up buying when they start. And so people think it's going to be seen. It's not going to be seen by the ideal buyer unless they're helped along the way to look at all their options and make sure that they choose the best option for them and their family.
All right. Well, listen, I'm glad that we kind of debunked some of those. I'm glad to get your input. I mean, if anyone in the real estate business has seen it, it's you. So, and instead of talking about things that aren't true and sort of going into these ideas that hold people back or that amateurs might encounter, or even like everyday investors may encounter, I want to touch on some of the truths. I'd like to get from you some of the advice that your experience can really help people with. So when it comes to the truth, some of the things that you would either correct people on, or that you would say, yeah, that's absolutely correct. So some of these myths are actually true. Some of these rumors actually make sense. And I got a short list here, but I'm sure you could add to it as well. And depending on how much time we have, I'd love to hear a couple of your truths that could guide people. I mean, I can't even count it, but you've probably made thousands of millionaires through the transactions that you've helped people over the last 30 years. And you learn something every time you help somebody, because once you do that, they come back to you over and over again. They tell you how the experience went. And I always say life is too short to learn from your own mistakes. So for those who are looking to buy their first home, for those who are looking to build a portfolio of properties as an investment opportunity, what can we learn from you is the next question here, Frank Leo, the man with how many, I can't even imagine, how many transactions would you say you have under your belt if you had to guess?
Oh, thousands and thousands. I don't know. I've lost track. But wonderful families I still keep in touch with. Every transaction is important to me because I know how important it is to the person that's doing it, right? So that's key. But absolutely, there's a lot of questions about what someone should do. I mean, the simple thing is if real estate is the way you want to approach your future in terms of investment, it's a great investment. You have to know where you're buying, make sure that the area is going to be an area that's going to maintain its value, that it is potentially going to improve. So it's an area that has that upward potential. You want to make sure that the rents will cover the costs. And so that home will eventually pay for itself, or that investment of that apartment building, whatever you have. So you want to do it, systematically where you're doing that. And then once you leverage that, if the homes are paying themselves, then you can refinance and then use that money to buy something else. So it's about leveraging. The secret to wealth is very simple. The day that you stopped working by the hour to get paid, and then you have your money working for you, is when you're successful financially. So real estate has that option, and you got to get that working for you. So that's the best advice I would give someone.
Absolutely.
I don't
On the
know if
real
it's a
estate
myth or not,
investing
but
side, it's not a myth. It is the ultimate truth of wealth, which is that you can't trade enough time for enough dollars to be truly wealthy. It's when you learn how to trade dollars to make dollars that you become an investor, and you get your time back, and you can grow exponentially, because there's so much money out there. You might as well trade that to make money. There's not enough time out there. You got to hold on to that. So let me get to a couple truths here that I have written down, despite, of course, wanting to have your overall advice on how real estate can change lives. How about this one? A good credit score can mean a better interest rate.
absolutely. Very simple, but you should keep an eye on your credit because it will save you thousands of dollars over time.
Well, I think that's great advice. Obviously, I'm always trying to help coach people through improving their credit where possible, using some debt, paying it off, doing that multiple times over. Because, saving a few points on an interest rate can be a total game changer for somebody. Okay, truth number 2, Frank. You can buy a house with no money down. What do you got to say about that?
Anything is possible, but it's a lot less likely that you're going to get a good interest rate on that. And you have to be careful. You can't do any Oklahomas here in Canada, or in Toronto, in the market here, where you have no money involved and you have a higher price than the actual property is worth. So that happened in the past. They shut that down as illegal. But the way you can do it, of course, with a vendor take back. You're able to do that, and you borrow money on a second, et cetera, or a first, and work around it. But there's ways you can stretch your ability to purchase, but it does come at a price. The less money you have into the property, probably a little bit higher interest rate, or the terms are not going to be as advantageous. And the only way a seller will take an offer that is with little or no money down is if they get a price that they otherwise couldn't get with a normal seller. So you're paying a premium for that.
Absolutely. But it is possible, which is good news. I mean, a lot of
Yes.
people think I need to have 20% down to get started. You can buy a primary residence with 5% down, and you can buy any property with no money down if you have seller financing, or a vendor take back, or a joint venture partner, or some other creative way to borrow the money in order to do it.
I've seen people who have traded their skill for finances. So they've gone in there and they're the contractor, so to speak, and they have a money person bringing the money in. So technically, they have no money down. They're just investing their skills into a property, and so you can do it in that way as well. But you need strategic partners, one way or the other. But it can be done. You're correct.
Absolutely. I love that. So one person's the working partner, the other person is the finance or credit person, and then together they've got compatible skills, and now you're buying houses with someone else's money and using your skill set. So it's a win-win for both.
Absolutely.
Listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me today. I know you probably could have sold 5 properties during the time that we had this interview, so don't bill me for it. But, listen, I want to get caught up with you again soon. I appreciate you sharing all of your truths and debunking all of these myths with our listeners today. We wish you a tremendous amount of success, and we'll talk to you soon, Frank.
Thank you for the invite. It was a pleasure being your first guest on your podcast. So thank you very much, and all the best to you. Great luck. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, Frank. Take care. So let's do a quick recap here. Make sure that we've got everything covered, because we want to make sure we've debunked these myths. So number 1, it's always a good time to buy, because time in the market is more important than timing the market. Do not wait for opportunities. Solving myth number 2, the worst house on the best street only works if you have the budget to properly upgrade the house. So it is a myth that you can't just buy the worst house on the best street, because typically that's hard to do. And the truth here is that you should be aspiring to have the best house on the best street eventually. So that's a better end goal. Number 3, spring is not your only option when it comes to selling. There are lots of times to both purchase and sell properties. So the sooner you list, usually the better. And the sooner you buy, definitely the better. All right, number 4, using an agent who knows what they're doing will likely net you a better result and save you or make you more money in the long run. Trying to do it your own without any experience, not necessarily the most profitable way to purchase real estate. Number 5 is that you should be pricing realistically. It will create more interest in your home and provide a better chance of selling at a higher price. Overlisting your house may deter people from coming to see it, and in the end, you may have to reduce it and still not get as much interest. So price it accordingly. So I would have to say that I've been through and experienced almost every single one of these myths. The truth is the truth. We've been talking about that. The sooner you buy, the better. And I would say that in this day and age, I'm always looking for opportunities in the market. I don't wait for the spring. I don't wait for the summer. I don't wait for the fall, and I don't wait for the winter. I'm out there looking at all times, which is really my advice for you. If you want to buy a home and you're feeling prepared, or you want to get into the real estate investing space, you need to start looking right now. And the only thing you need to delay are your excuses. Get them out of the way. That's truthfully the only thing that is holding people back is excuses. There are so many great ways to get in the real estate market. Figure out how they work. So that being said, thanks again so much, Frank, for joining me today. If you're looking for a real estate agent in your area, be sure to check out my trusted agent listings on scottmcgillivray.com. If you have any questions or comments about the show, you can always stop by the Real Estate Rebel Facebook group and tell us your thoughts. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow wherever you are listening to us today. This has been the Real Estate Rebel with Scott McGillivray, and we'll see you next time.